Hello. 1.3.4 Maintaining confidentiality and maintain confidentiality and obtain informed consent. This is a bit harder than it sounds, but we've already talked about GDPR and the behaviour associated with 1.3.4 is to consider GDPR. Healthcare chaplains will identify what information has been disclosed only to the chaplain in confidence, what information has a focus in patient care and should, with the patient's permission, be recorded for the healthcare team, what information needs to be shared with the wider healthcare team because it has implications for the immediate safety of the patient from self-harm or the immediate safety of others from being harmed by the individual. So this is really quite complicated. It suggests that there's information that only the chaplain will know and not do anything with. That there's information that should be recorded with the patient's permission, and there's information that needs to be shared immediately without the patient's permission because of other factors. And so this is all about informed consent, and those occasions when the rights of the patient become secondary to the broader issues of personal and societal safety. So this micromodule gets you to think about those things, particularly in relation to GDPR, and finally what to do if you're not sure, which is a perfectly reasonable situation to find yourself in. So we start off by defining confidentiality and informed consent, and use the 4 ethical principles that we've already discussed so that you're thinking about them in terms of autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence and justice. And then define the key principles of GDPR pertaining to record keeping. And just as a reminder, I've put the rights associated with GDPR on the right there. Then to dig a bit deeper into the nature of confidentiality and disclosure of information, the BMA have a really good website here which define the key principles certainly pertaining to confidentiality. It's English and it refers to English mental health legislation, but the principles are broadly the same. In Scotland, the one you're most likely to come across is the Adults with Incapacity Act. But I couldn't find something that defines it as neatly as the BMA does there. And they also have a toolkit associated with it, which is broken down into really key principles associated with all these elements. So the final task is to have a look at this paper here, which is putting all of this into practice, actual case where the rights of the patient were overridden for his own safety in this case. But have a think about, have these resources open at the same time and read the ethical dilemma discussed in the paper below and think about the key learning from it. It does actually make recommendations which are practical, feasible and can better support your practice in future. And to give you a hint about that, it's about preparing for these things before they happen. But have a think about that and how you could facilitate your patients to better support the principles that you want to apply in relation to confidentiality and record keeping. Okay, tricky one.